So episode 6 of WandaVision has everyone like, what in the fuck is going on here? So let's try and break all of this madness down. And spoiler warning, because we're about to go in. What's up, y'all? I'm Kendall from Normies to Nerds. Like and subscribe for more videos. So episode 6 had a lot of cryptic messages and I believe misdirects from Agnes and Pietro, and a lot of mind-blowing moments as well. So let's break this all down, starting with the intro, which went full on Malcolm in the Middle. The intro is full of messages basically telling us to just roll with the show. It talks about the confusion, chaos, and that's a nod to Wanda's chaos magic, and illusion, getting us ready for what's next. I think confusion refers to Vision, magic refers to Billy and his powers that we'll see later in the episode, and illusion refers to Pietro and what he's presenting here to Wanda. Now, Tommy and Billy really start to show their personality in this episode. And Tommy wants to be just like his uncle. We see the first sign of that when Wanda shows off her comic accurate outfit.
That is so lame.
And Pietro hits Wanda with what we've all been thinking all along.
He probably suppressed a lot of the trauma.
He's hinting at her suppressing her reality, and I think a sign of her slipping with some of that is those commercials that we see pop up in the episodes. Now Vision comes down in his comic accurate outfit.
There were no other clothes in my closet.
And it's clear that Vision is learning how to play Wanda's game. He comes up with a clever way to get some free time and investigate by saying he's on the neighborhood patrol watch. And at this point we see everyone in their costume, and I think that's a sign that everyone is in their true form. Wanda and Vision have on their suits. Pietro is Quicksilver. Tommy is dressed up to be Speed. Then Billy is even dressed in his comic outfit as Wiccan. And then also we later see Agnes dressed up in her true form, I believe, and that is a witch, aka Agatha Harkness. And we finally see some other kids in the show as they're trick-or-treating, and Pietro calls the twins this.
Unleash hell, demon spawn!
Another hint that the kids could come from Mephisto or another hellish source. Then Pietro dodges questions from Wanda on why he looks different. And this goes on throughout the episode. Every time Wanda brings it up, Pietro comes up with a comical way to avoid the question each time. And he asks, "Isn't this what you wanted?" and explains why he's here.
Come to town unexpectedly, create tension with the brother-in-law, stir up trouble with the Rugrats, and ultimately give you grief.
Now I have two theories that I'm pretty much split on how Pietro got into the universe. The first one involves Agnes and that she went to another multiverse to pull Pietro in, explaining that Wanda in this universe needs his help. The other is that I think that Pietro could just be an illusion, it could be masked up, and is actually Mephisto. And I think that in both of these scenarios, Agnes has a role to play in this, and that Pietro's main goal is to keep Wanda happy inside of this hex just a little bit longer. Either way, this episode really shakes up theories on whether or not he is Pietro from the MCU, from Fox, or just Mephisto himself. Now during Vision's investigations, he finds out that people are on a loop. And this calls back to the last episode where Wanda's like, she can't be making people do everything like go to the mail or get their hair cut. And I do believe her. I don't believe that she is doing everything, but you have to admit what is going on in Westview with the folks being frozen right there is just completely terrifying. As you see later, she's not just doing this to adults, the kids are frozen too. Like, what kind of torture are they going through to be just stuck like that, standing there? And I think it's kind of cool how Wanda is using Halloween to answer Vision's questions that came up in episode 5 about there being no children in Westview. And another cool thing to mention too is that how this matches up with the timeline of how Endgame was set in October and how we're about 3 to 4 weeks after that moment. So Halloween should really be coming up in the real world here. Now this commercial was just weird. My best guess is that this commercial is saying that Wanda's magic cannot save the dead, but these commercials have been so cryptic that they're really hard to decipher other than maybe the first two. Now we see Tommy get his powers as Speed. Still a mystery though as to what triggered his powers, but after zooming around all day with his uncle, I think it makes sense that he want to have a little bit of speed. Now outside of the Hex, after getting kicked off the mission, Monica, Wu, and Darcy uncover Hayward's shadiness. And I think this moment puts Hayward back on people's boards as someone who could be pulling the strings behind all of this. But why is Hayward keeping this a secret? And why is Vision so important to him? Now, as Monica refers to her guy being ready with the vehicle to break into the HEX, I think she is setting up for a big cameo here that we'll see someone come in, but I'm starting to lean more towards the Skrull friend from Captain Marvel being that person that she's called in for help. Yeah, I know she says it's her guy, but Skrulls can shapeshift and take any form that they want to. And some also think that it's Reed Richards, and it could be, but remember, Monica has been gone for the last 5 years. So I think it'll be somebody who has already been introduced into the MCU. And we also see more evidence that Monica will become Photon by the end of this series. And we see a scene where she shows off her true heroic nature by saying that she doesn't care about what she's doing to her body by going in and outside of the HEX. She just wants to help Wanda, and that's really what being a hero is all about. So we see Vision takes a look at Westview, and he sees Agnes is sitting in her car. She tells Vision he's dead.
Dead. Dead. Dead.
But to be 100, I think Agnes is completely playing Vision right here in this scene. And I think that she wants him to go out there and kill himself trying to get outside of the HEX. And I think that she's fine with that now because she believes that she doesn't need Vision anymore to keep Wanda happy with Pietro around. Now off to the festival scene, just a quick note here. I love how the inflatables are filled up with Wanda's chaos magic. And we get some great conversation here between Wanda and Pietro, and that hints that Pietro has some knowledge of what's happening in the MCU universe. Pietro tells Wanda that he thinks what she has done is actually a good thing. And he even points out that he thinks that Mom and Dad would love it there inside of the HEX, and could that be an Easter egg being planted for her father, Magneto, to make an appearance later on in the season? Who knows? But he's pointing out the obvious, that Wanda has clearly leveled up from her days from the Age of Ultron. However, in doing so, I think Pietro is accidentally stressing Wanda out and thinking about how all of this started. Then we get another creepy corpse moment with Pietro as he has his bullet holes from Age of Ultron still there. And that really muddies the waters on whether or not he is MCU Pietro or Fox Pietro. However, this time I think seeing the corpse was an intentional move to make Wanda remember what life is like outside of the HEX. Now as Vision starts to exit the HEX, shit gets real. Now at first take, I thought Vision was struggling to get out of the HEX simply because he's dead in the real world, and it's just hard for a dead man to get out of the HEX and still be alive. But the more I look at it, it just seems to be that it's impossible to get out of the HEX without Wanda's permission. And that's even more proof that when she kicked Monica out in episode 4, that she actually did protect her. And then Billy hears Vision scream and hears words through Vision's ears. So now we have Wiccan in the show, as both the twins, Tommy and Billy, have their superpowers. Now Pietro seems to want Vision dead as well, making me think that Pietro is really on Agnes's side here. Now I don't know about you, but it seems to me that they only need the HEX to be up for just a little bit longer as they're close to getting what they want to get from Wanda. And I think that has to do a lot with the kids, especially Billy's chaos magic. But as Billy tells Wanda that it's people with guns, she realizes his sword and snaps. So I think it's important to note just how easily she expands the bubble in this moment, and I think that's a callback to where Monica was telling Hayward that she could take the whole world hostage if she wanted to, but she's just sticking to this town. And I know I cannot be the only one who was hoping the whole time it was expanding that Hayward would get sucked in as he's trying to run away. But again, this shows that Wanda is really just choosing not to take the world hostage at this point. But how crazy are we going to get here? Will Wanda really just expand the bubble and take over the whole world? Will we get a House of M scenario, and could it involve the multiverse in some way? And also, how is Wanda going to react to Hayward's attack after all of this? Because you know he's going to come back swinging. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like and share, and as always, I'll catch you on the next one as we take this journey from normies to nerds.